Hello, my name is Sam Lowe, and this is my final presentation. And I chose to do the topic Hispanic people in my life. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, before I talk about each specific person, I'm going to say, you know, um, where their culture originated from, and then talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to talk about the person in my life. So, um, the first thing I have here is a little bit about Mexican Americans. So, just a little bit about that culture. Um, Before 1854, a large majority of the Southwest United States was Mexican territory. That includes areas like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado. That was all area considered Mexico. Um, that was later then colonized by the United States, and now it's land that we know today. In the 1890s, 75,000 Mexican immigrants followed labor in the United States, and it wasn't humbling labor. It was cheap labor. They were definitely taken advantage of, but however, it started a wave of Mexican immigration in the late 1800s to the United States. Um, in the 1920s, when the Depression hit the United States, it flushed out 80,000 Mexican Americans back to Mexico. So they had citizenship here, or they were working here without documentation, and then they, you know, were flushed back out to Mexico due to lack of work. Um, Today, currently, there are 18 million Mexican Americans that reside in the United States. They are all over the country. But being from Colorado, there are many Mexican American families that live in my state, and that leads me into the next segue of um, my one of my good friends from back home. His name is Josue Rivera. There's a photo of me and him when we played travel ball when we were in high school together. We've been friends for around 10 years now. We came up playing Little League baseball together in Ken Carroll Little League area. He played in Lakewood, so we played against each other, but we also played on the same travel ball team. He currently plays junior college baseball in California at a school called Portersville. He's a two-way baseball player, hits and pitches. He's a very, very talented kid. He also has a year-old baby girl named Isabella. Isabella's an absolute angel. I've had the pleasure of meeting her a few times. She's absolutely adorable, and I'm so happy that he now has a new life to share with him. And when he's not playing ball, he works construction in Colorado to earn extra money. He likes to, he works for a company that builds pools in backyards of, nicer homes, and he loves it. He makes really good money, and it helps him provide for his baby girl and put him through college because he pays for it himself. His parents were both Mexican immigrants, so he's a first generation Mexican American. Although after he was born in the United States, he was they moved back to Mexico. So until he was around 9 years old, he grew up in Mexico, and then he came back to Colorado, and that's right around the time I met him and became really good friends with him. So the next group of people we have on our list are Puerto Ricans. Um, just a little bit about Puerto Rico here. They became a U.S. colony in 1898, so they're considered a territory of the United States, not necessarily a state, but a territory. And a few things that come with that are Puerto Ricans can vote in primary elections, but not presidential elections. This one always sticks out to me because I find it so odd. Like, why would a group of people be able to vote in primaries for the candidates, but then not actually who they want to represent the country? I just find that odd. I don't know the nuances behind the reasonings, but it is very interesting. And a common question, is do Puerto Ricans have U.S. citizenship? And it is. If a native Puerto Rican is born on that island, then they have United States citizenship, so they can move to the mainland without having to have work visas or anything like that. They're U.S. citizens. Another interesting thing, more than 800,000 Puerto Ricans have left the island in the past 20 years, and these people end up settling in Florida or New York are the two main um, areas they like to create their families. That leads me into Hector Candelas, who was born and raised in Puerto Rico. He's a fellow teammate of mine here at Charleston Southern. He didn't move off the island until his freshman season of baseball rolled around, so that was this year. He's, new to the country, um, or I'm sorry, this region. And we like to play golf together on our off days. He's a really good golfer. Um, the baseball swing kind of folds into it. Um, and he hopes to play professional baseball after his time at CSU. That's his main goal. He's a great kid. I've loved getting to play with him and getting to know him. And he's changed my perspective about baseball because Puerto Ricans have a type of baseball that's very exciting and passionate, and it brings a little bit more flash to the game, and you're seeing it now in the major leagues. But he's taught me a lot about that, and he's just a really fun guy to be around and play with. Always has a lot of energy. Hector's a good friend of mine. So that leads me into now the Dominican Republic. So another Hispanic area, Dominican independence was declared on February 27th in 1844. Some more information about them. 70% of the Dominican population is declared mixed ethnically, which I thought was, interesting, but thinking that it was a colony, it makes more sense to me now. And this is another big statistic. 27% of Dominicans, Dominican demographic is under 15 years old. So that means there's a lot of young life in the Dominican Republic. And that's really exciting for a nation because it's, having a lot of turnover and young representation. So in the next 15 to 20 years, you can expect to see some cool things out of the DR. And I'm excited to see that. 4/5 of the population is classified as Roman Catholics. I think that's really interesting too. But again, it makes sense being, having the history, having a bunch of Europeans colonize that area, and Spaniards who are tend to be Roman Catholics as well. Their main language there is Spanish, but as time is progressing, English is becoming more common. So this leads, they breed a lot of very good baseball talent on that island, and this brings me into my next and final friend, who's been very important to me, was a role model. His name is Francisco Urbaez. So before CSU, I played baseball at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida, and I had the pleasure of playing with this kid, Francisco Urbaez. He grew up in the Dominican Republic, played baseball in the DR, learned everything about the sport in the DR until he was 17, and then he came to the United States and played baseball for Florida Atlantic, which in his last year was my first year there, and that's where I met him. Uh, After this past season, he was signed with the Cincinnati Reds, which is really cool. That was a big goal of his, and he's got all the talent in the world, and he deserves it. Some things we like to do together when we were at FAU were we learned to surf together. He never surfed, and neither have I, being from Colorado. So a local Floridian, if I may, took us out to the waters of Briny Beach on our off days and taught us how to surf. We were both horrific at it, but it was a really good experience. And, I built a good friendship with this kid. He's now currently playing AA baseball for the Cincinnati Reds, still working his way up through the system. Love this guy. He's been a really big inspiration to me, someone who I try and model my game after. Um, Always had a lot of energy, a lot of life. He again brought a specific sort of baseball into the United States that was just super energetic, super exciting. He played hard. So I'm excited to see what he does as his career. I enjoy talking to him and learning about, what he's doing right now. So thanks so much for your guys' attention. Here are my references for the information that I included. I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much.